Alright, just finished up the game. Probably the closest I've been to a total party kill-off in, I don't know, 5 years or so. Let's see, we started off in the village, made up some rafts, headed down to the river. When we got down there, building a dry dock, right, and getting set up to make all these rafts and get them into the river and such. And a wonderfully helpful village idiot elf decides to go out in the river and help, and get swarmed by quiplings, which are essentially like hyperactive piranhas, you know. And they rip through him, you know. He's got nothing but an arm left, and Randall, bless him, decides to run out there and try to save him, and in the process nearly dies himself, taking an assload of damage. He ends up grabbing the arm of the elf to try to drag him back to safety, but it's just the arm, so he's beating off these piranhas off of his body, and eventually gets back up to the shore and gets healed up and everything. The party moves on, gets out on the river, starts doing the little Huckleberry Finn bullshit all the way down the river, just as racist as Huckleberry Finn too. I mean, I was offended. I mean, I was ready to knock a statue over. It was rough. So party gets going down the river and everything, and one night they're traveling and they see a campfire in the middle of the river. And they get a little closer, and it turns out to be old Jim. If you've been around for a few sessions or a few campaigns, you've met Jim before. He is the illustrious hedge wizard, always doing some random ass bullshit, kind of like a patron saint of the party. He spreads out a new spell called the Black Flame. Comes from our new Dark Arts book, which will be linked in the Discord. From there, the party makes a little talk and heads on out again, going down to the city of Kale. Sounds like Bale or the terrible food, which I believe RJ pointed out is essentially a fucking random name generator or something. I don't know. They're all the same freaking name with different sounds. So they get down there. The place is just swarming with zombies. There's a bridge, and when the party was like around level 3, they had blown up a ship as well as some trees and a hill giant, and all that stuff flowed downriver, and they finally found it again, clogging up this bridge here. Well, they decide that they're going to go ahead and knock it out to get the bridge out of the way and everything so the party can move through. When they do so, they actually trigger a trap. Luckily, they did this from far enough away that a few hundred ballista bolts came out, hitting the water, hitting the land across. Probably would have sunk several rafts. I mean, it was a pretty deadly trap right there. But the party managed to avoid it, a bit through luck, a bit through good planning. So that was awesome. Party continues down. They get all the way down to the Lonely Sea, where the river empties out into the bay there. And they see on shore a whole bunch of drunk people screaming and hanging out at a bonfire. RJ's still here and he's coughing. Yeah, thanks, RJ. So they're hanging out at a bonfire. They're screaming and yelling. The party notices off in the distance there's something moving through the brush. Not really sure what's going on. So they send out one of the familiars and cast light just as the vines reach out of the ground and grab the bird and just start crushing it, which Daly dismisses to prevent its horrible, agonizing death because he's a softie like that. We all know. So these pirates, you know, they're all on the beach. They cheer a little bit, and all of a sudden, a oak tree, giant oak tree, comes out of the underbrush, and it's got green glowing eyes, and it's got a swirling green mist around the top of the branches, and it's got dead people hanging from nooses all around the tree, and it's been struck by lightning. I mean, this thing is just like evil incarnate of Trent form. It is disgusting. It is horrible, and the party fucks with it because that's what they do. So the party starts, you know, flinging fire bolts and stuff like that, and they're hurting it in general. Tree finally gets enough, or has enough of this shit, and roars at them, starts swaying in the wind, and suddenly casts a spell the party's never seen before called the Blood Rain. Blood Rain comes down, kills off 2/3 of the entire village population of Tuka, nearly kills the party members. Luckily, Daly jumped across the boats, or I'm sorry, Misty stepped across the boats, and managed to save both Brian and Randall and prolong their life for such a long time. So about a week passes in game. They get to the next place, and it's the village leading up to Necrotica, something Necrotic's the name of the name. And they do a little scouting, and they realize this place is full of half dragons. That's not dragon-born. That's half dragons. They are the prodigy of polymorph dragons and other species. And they are very ill-tempered. We're talking red dragons, black dragons, white dragons. It's real nasty. Party goes, you know what? Maybe we're not going to die today. And they decide to go around. Well, in the process of going around, a scout happens to see a couple of these half-dragons along with several dogs leading a prisoner away. Okay, they think, we can take these guys. So they go out there and they set up an ambush, which, let me show you that real quick. Looks kind of like that there. Notice all the people knocked over at the moment. It's a little rough. Well, that happened. And, sorry, got a runny nose. So the party sets up their ambush, and the Gold Dragon, played by Dominic, decides to go out and have a little chat with these here half-dragons. Unfortunately, nobody rolled high enough on their history checks to realize that half-dragons and dragonborn hate each other. The half-dragons think of the dragonborns as these lesser creatures that are, the cursed, diluted bloodlines of what they should be. So they immediately start having problems with them, and they launch a surprise attack at them. At the same time, the party also launches their attack. Randall and Dom both end up going down in that first bit of combat. Daly cast up his big hurricane spell that I don't ever remember the name of. But it starts, beating the hell out of everybody, doing some good damage there. One of the dogs slips off in the back, he's like, all right, I'm out of here. And the party's like, okay, he's probably going to warn the village. We need to get ready. We need to take care of these guys fast. So he does that, and the party just starts, doing their thing. They're flinging spells. You got fire breath against fire creatures, because they turn out to be hellhounds. Good job, Randall. So Randall tries to breathe fire on them. They pretty much ignore Randall from that. You got RJ over there, shooting at him and everything. You got Brian doing his healing spell, healing word, casting the healing word from behind the bushes there. Tim is behind the rock with his character doing his bit. Everybody's, trying to hurt these guys, and they're hitting and they're hurting them, but it's just not enough. And all of these hellhounds have fire breath. And then these two half-dragons are white half-dragons, so they have an ice breath. And they're tearing into the party with these AoEs. And through the luck of the recharge ability of these spells, they just keep getting them back every freaking round. And they're just laying waste. They're laying waste to the party. They're hitting the party over and over. People keep going down. People are dying and everything. And the bards are trying to heal, and they can't because they're going down too. Eventually, Dom dies from all this, and he immediately grabs up the Tashin character, the hireling that we've had for a while, and he jumps back into the fray with this. And he goes over there and he heals up the guy. And this is about the third round. And all of a sudden, that one dog that broke off at the beginning of the fight finishes making his loop around the whole party. And he comes in with that fully charged fire breath, turns everybody into a goddamn cocktail wiener. I mean, it was nasty. We're talking like avocado face, going all Deadpool and shit. So, party's getting beat down. There's still 3 of the dogs up after a while. And Daly and RJ end up being the last 2 standing. And they are fighting. They are pounding away at these dogs and just not killing them. Yeah, a few lucky shots in. Eventually, they wear them down enough. The dog starts dying off. And the last one that's standing, he's got a nice bead line on both RJ and Daly there, and I recharged his flame breath, and through like the most amazing group of luck, his initiative was lower than everyone else, and RJ and Daly just turned and simultaneously just blew him to bits. Finally managed to kill him. Unfortunately, the prisoner that they were escorting was also killed, so we lost quite a few folks. The players that were here are restarting back in at level 5, so thank you guys for coming in and all that fun jazz. And I will be putting the Dark Arts book up on Discord, and I'll see y'all next week.